Hi, this is Rick Adams from practicalcsm.com, and welcome to part 3, the final part of a 3-part podcast series I recently recorded with Ariel Feder about his recent book, Sellosophy, the art and science behind B2B sales and business development. As you'll know by now, this book is about B2B selling, but there are a lot of great ideas in it that can equally be applied to customer success management, and I highly recommend giving it a read. Here is part 3 of my interview with Ariel.
But in any case, to my mind, I do feel like you. I do feel that what they talk about in terms of desires and ambitions and why people, for the sake of argument, go to war, no different whatsoever. So therefore, therefore the philosophy that has been handed down for many thousands of years before even it got written down. I think there is a lot to be learned from it. I really do. So how does this apply then when you're talking about, because I know in later chapters, and sorry, because I'm just moving us on just because of time, because we could talk about that but how does that apply when you're looking at your key accounts? So in terms of managing your key accounts, and that is something that is effectively what customer success managers do day in, day out. They are allocated a number of accounts. It's either high touch, they've got a few accounts and they manage them a lot, or it's low touch, they've got loads of accounts and they're touching each one a little bit, but nevertheless, their job is effectively account management to manage the customers who are currently employing our products and services to help them to generate value from those products and services. So what lessons from philosophy can we learn that's going to help us to do that?
So I think the most important thing for the account manager is to understand the structure of the company that he is working with. Mm-hmm. What is the KPIs of the managers that he is working with? What is
so this is the KPIs of the customers of the stakeholders of the customers organization.
Usually some customers calling me and ask for help to find the resource in their own company, because I'm familiar with their company in my specific domain, right? I'm just selling a specific thing. So I'm familiar with the needs of their company in many departments and many divisions. So sometimes if they need a resource and they don't know where to find it in their own company, they can call me and I will connect people from their own company. And I see myself sometimes as a project manager for the customer. Mm-hmm. Of course, when I will succeed in my project, then I will take money from that. And this is why I'm an account manager, a sales manager. Mm-hmm. But my daily job is to solve customer problem. And I'm working with post-sale and pre-sales engineer, which is basically a customer success. So in our industry, we call them application engineers that working on post-sale activities. So they are sit with the customer after the customer purchased the product and helping him to implement this product in the best way.
Yeah.
So it's basically a customer success. It depends on industry, right? Am I correct, Rick?
Absolutely. No, absolutely it is. Yeah, absolutely.
So as a sales manager, your job is to be the project manager of this resource. So you need to find a way to deploy this resource in the best way that will gain the customer the most based on the KPIs of the customer. And all, when we read different resumes of people and they say we have a C-level ability to have a C-level conversation. Yes. What does it mean? It means that this person can understand the needs, the gaps and the KPI of a VP of a company, of a big company, and have a conversation with him on the same level. And after he will understood that, he will implement the customer success people, the application engineer, the product line people to execute and deliver those KPIs for this VP. And this is the most important.
You've put this very well, and this is why, going back to what I do. So our certification program for CSMs has 10 modules. Module 1, as you would imagine, is called Customer Success Fundamentals. There's no surprises there, right? Module 2 is called Business Fundamentals. And the reason why is exactly as you've stated, is that if you cannot understand the motivation of the customer as an organization, Yeah, as a whole unit, holistically. If you don't understand what vision and mission means, if you don't understand what a business capability is and how different departments combine and come together to create value for the end user, these are really critical things for the CSM, and in your instance, the account manager. And I feel that these are almost interchangeable terms, and many account managers are being turned into CSMs as we speak. Is in order, as you say, it's perspective. That's what it is. It enables you to know what is valuable and what is not, and therefore which things to suggest and which things to propose, because of you're able to prioritize because you understand what the vision is.
Exactly. And I want to connect it also to what we talked before. So if a person like engineer can best sell to engineers, an accountant will sell best to accountant, and you need to right now to sell to a VP IT of the IT infrastructure, or VP finance, or VP sales, then you need to have a background as a VP sales, but usually you will not have this background. So this is why those trainings that you are running are so important, because they can explain the person who needs to execute this customer success job, what has the VPs in their mind, what is important for them.
What keeps them awake at night? What's their perspective, which, as you say, is not our perspective, because most CSMs have not been VPs or C-level execs. But we need to understand them. We need to understand them.
And in order to build
sorry, go ahead.
We need to have the same language, right? So in order to build this capability, we need to speak their language.
Right, yeah, and equally importantly, know what not to say, because these people are not interested in the details, because they've got teams of people under them who manage that stuff, and it's not relevant to them. So we've also got to know, what is of interest and what is not of it, and why they would be saying, look, you don't need to be talking to me. You need to be going back and talking to so-and-so. I think that's often something.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah. Okay. So look, there's much more that I would love to ask you about, and I as I said, I really do recommend your book as being, it's very readable. I love the sort of the philosophical aspects of it. I think it is very relevant to the world of customer success as much as it is to sales. And I think it's a great book, particularly perhaps for customer success leaders or for aspiring customer success leaders, because it is talking also about how you organize the team, as well as how you do your day-to-day sort of what you do. But I just wanted to touch before we end, because one of the things that you bring out in your book is around community, i.e. it's not just you, the salesperson, or even the sales organization that does the selling. It's a little bit wider than that, perhaps quite well. Would you mind if we just finish off just any thoughts that you might have on the community, the power of community, and how one might activate that community in order to do good things?
So most of the sales today are still local. So local resources in each country that developing the market. Although the marketing is broad, is international. So the idea is to move some marketing resources to the local resources, to the sales managers, the customer success managers in the field, in a certain territory, so they can do activities for the community of people that live in this area. So usually we have some industrial high-tech area or some medicine-oriented area, and most of the customers will live 1 hour driving from this area.
Okay.
So if we will be able to create a community, face-to-face community after COVID, of course, by allocating some marketing budgets.
But it could be virtual. It could be virtual.
Virtual is good. Okay, it's very broad. But if you want to give a control to a local resource, so most of the companies are built that they have local resources in each country. Yes. Those local resources are responsible for sales. But the marketing is broad. Yes. Sometimes they are not touching in the right way because there is no optimization to each region.
And there may be some specificity to the needs of a particular niche group, such as a locality.
So the basic idea is just to steal this idea of having a church, right? So a church community.
Right.
So if we will help the sales manager with some budget that he can create like a church with in a certain place when all the customers have just 1 hour drive from there and build community around that, then I think he will be more successful and the company will have more sales. But it's a little bit broad topic, and you can, we can discuss, you can contact me and we can talk about that. It's a little bit innovative because it's different than what we are used to do today in the commercial.
So it's an indirect, let's say, approach to selling around building sort of resonance with your customers first before moving into perhaps necessarily selling, or alongside, let's say.
Yeah, but not online. Okay?
Yes.
Actually, it's a kind of local community.
Okay. What as a final, what haven't we talked about that we ought to have mentioned just before we sort of depart? There's so many things in your book that we could have talked about that we haven't picked up on, and I just want to give you an opportunity as the author to say, well, Rick, you didn't ask me a question about this, so we really need to mention it. So what have I forgotten about, because it has been a few weeks since it was prior to Christmas, but when I read it, or what is it that you want to say that we haven't touched on, just that we can leave our audience with?
Every topic in this book, we have 6 chapters and 6 different topics, and every topic is standalone. So if you pick up the book, you can just read something that is relevant to you today. One of the things that we didn't touch is the last chapter, and I actually love this chapter the most, is talking about flexibility and adjustment of the sales organization. And it's very relevant to our times because we cannot expect what will be the market demand because of the COVID and because of the changes currently in the market. So this chapter gives some model how to build your sales team with your internal resources and external resources, that it will be adapted based on the market conditions. So let's say you have a very quiet time, then only your salespeople will work and your application engineers will work, or in customer success. But if the demand will grow fast and you need to pick those demand because maybe this is the only 3 months that you will make money this year, then you need to have a chain of infrastructure of external resources. And this chapter is talking how to build the KPIs to better understand where to use internal resources and when to use external resources, and who is the right person to make the decision when to initiate the work with external resources.
I think you're right. I mean, more than ever, and I mean, COVID has been a big part of this. More than ever, agility is so important. It's given a lot of organizations a heck of a shock to understand that how fragile perhaps their infrastructure was, and how much they needed to be able to move quickly. And when you look at the companies that have been able to deal well with COVID-19, they were the ones that were able to rapidly change what they did and adapt to a new situation quickly and efficiently and effectively without fuss. And who weren't necessarily also who also made the decision rather than sat like a deer in the headlights as well and didn't decide, which is also around risk management and around agility and flexibilities, is knowing when to pivot, right, and then making that decision and sticking to it.
Yeah, Eric, and one very important point, that if you talk to any salesperson, he will say that in his business there is a seasonality, right? So let's say summer is very strong, winter is not so strong. So he can easily show you the seasonality of the year. What COVID done is it just destroyed this seasonality. So now the seasonality is related to the lockdown cycle. Okay, and not for the season cycle, not for holidays or vacation times or summer or schools. It's just related to the number of infected people, and therefore you cannot foresee when you will need those resources. So this is why flexibility today is critical, because you cannot plan in front that you will need more resources in September or October.
You can't just extend previous patterns into the future anymore.
Yeah, it just, there is a seasonality of the year, and on top of that, you have much faster seasonality of the lockdowns. Then that's really tough. You cannot move your resources from region to region. You cannot refocus. So you need this flexibility.
Cool. Okay. Well, Ariel, I think that's a great point to leave our conversation on. I want to say once more, thank you very, very much for joining me today. It's been a really interesting conversation. Wish you well with the book. And just to reiterate, the book is Sellosophy, the Art and Science Behind B2B Sales, Ariel Feder, and it is available from Amazon.com. I know that because that's where I got it, but I'm sure it's available, elsewhere as well. And as I said, I would definitely strongly recommend that. So, Ariel, thank you very much indeed for joining us today.
Rick, thank you very much for the opportunity.
My pleasure. So, just to say, for listeners and viewers, my name is Rick Adams from practicalcsm.com. You've been listening to a conversation with Ariel Feder around his book, Sellosophy, the Art and Science Behind B2B Sales. As I said, strong recommendation for if you're in customer success, and particularly as a customer success leader. I think you get a lot of value out of that. If you've enjoyed this podcast, this is one of many, many, many. We have a whole back catalog. If you go to practicalcsm.com, you can join for free and you get the whole back catalog. You can go to YouTube and get access to these. And if you want to come on as a guest, or indeed if you want to recommend someone as a guest, please do get in touch with me, rick.adams@practicalcsm.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn. And that's it for today. So it's me, Rick Adams from practicalcsm.com, saying thank you very much for listening or viewing, and I look forward to speaking to you in our future episodes. Bye for now.